And as a matter of fact, I mean, Section 32 and 33 of the same Fiscal Responsibility Act speaks about this kind of matters we're talking about now, forecasts and revenue projections from federal and where the states have it. So one would have thought that do you receive those as stipulated in Section 32 and 33, forecast and collection of public revenue, and then revenue forecast means you should have notices of what they plan to do at some stage. Does that happen?
Yes, at states, we do collect, or we do go around to collect information about their budgets and forecast. But the response from the states, I mean, are not particularly encouraging.
What about the federal level? I mean, because your commission oversees more the federal government and perhaps its sources of revenue and expenditure.
Yes.
What exactly did you see coming for the federal government, or did the federal government see coming that you noted?
Yes, at federal level, I think we are a little more at home with federal level, because we are in constant touch with the budget, office and federal ministry of finance, because we actually get them to be aware of the timelines requirement of the act, like the preparation of the medium-term expenditure framework and the budget. What we have observed over the years is that the act, as it relates to the processes required in the formulation of the MTEF, the act requires a lot of consultation from so many other agencies. So we try as much as possible to get the budget office to make sure these things are followed properly. Like if you look at the states, one of the problems we have over the years is that the kind of consultation required by the budget office, Ministry of Finance, and the states, so that they can have input into the budget, sometimes they may not even be done.
It looks to me that this would have been averted if the Commission and the RMAFC, as well as the Budget Office, had been doing what they should do. Look at it. Don't you think we have so many agencies or parastatal almost doing the same thing, and it becomes nobody's job at the end of the day?
It's not exactly. If you look at the agencies you've mentioned, we have distinct, functions. What I think that is required here is a kind of inter-agencies collaboration, so that we don't work, independently. Like, if you look at the generation of independent revenue for the federal government, for example, there is no other agency that does that, other than the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. And over the years, I think we have not done too badly, because we've been able to induce well over 350 billion into the federal government, revenue through operating, surplus. These were funds that were not there before the act came into being.
And when the act came into being, we just didn't get an increase. Instead, it would seem as if they disappeared.
Pardon?
I said when the act finally came into being, we would have been able to see an improvement, but that's not the case now.
Improvements. There are improvements, because if you look at even the way our budget process were being done before, there was so much discretionary, powers by the Minister of Finance or government, officials. But with the act, those discretions were more or less, are removed.
Mm. Well, some people will
so
say,
I mean, more reliable than what we used to have in the past.
It's interesting that you say this, because I think that my colleague is spot on in terms of this line of questioning. Some people might believe that your agency is actually a duplication. Perhaps at best it should have been maybe a department in the budget office where they will have monitoring and evaluation, because you say that you do not even work with the special advisor on evaluation and monitoring.
Yeah, our duties are clearly specified in the Act as to the monitoring and enforcing of the provisions of the FRA 2007. So we are more or less a watchdog over the budgetary, formulation process.
Let me get to go again, going through the Act. Section 42 talks about limits on consolidated debt of federal, state, and local governments. And then speaking about your watchdog role, subsection 4 of that 42 says, the Commission shall publish on a quarterly basis a list of the governments in the Federation that have exceeded the limits of consolidated debt, indicating the amount by which the limit was exceeded. Does this kind of thing happen by your Commission?
It doesn't happen as it is now. The reason being that if you look at the Act, at the time the Act started, the Act stated that the federal government should set the debt limit for the federal government, states, and local governments. I mean, since the Act has been in place, we have written a series of letters to the Ministry of Finance about the need to recommend debt limits to the presidency, where they will now pass, which will now be sent into the National Assembly as a bill to approve those debt limits. As of today, there is no debt limit, fixed at all. So if there is no debt limit fixed, there is really no way we can begin to look at, whether there is anything in terms of whether the states are within or above their, limits.
The question then is, do they take the Commission seriously?
That's a very serious, question, because until 2012, this Commission was working, very well. But with the advent of the Orosai Committee in 2013, that suggested that the Commission should be scrapped. Even those agents that were cooperating with the Commission were no longer disposed to do that. So to that extent, it creates a kind of a problem as to whether this Commission will actually be in operation or not.
Can the Commission prosecute offenders?
Pardon?
Can the Commission prosecute anyone?
I wouldn't say yes directly, because what the Act allows us to do is, after we must have carried out an investigation, we report the matter to the Attorney General of the Federation, who will decide whether to prosecute or not. So the Commission cannot directly prosecute anybody.
Okay, so looking more objectively, I mean, because we didn't even know that it was one of the commissions recommended by the Oronsaye report to be scrapped. But looking more objectively about that recommendation, would you really say that the commission has been able to justify its existence in terms, especially in terms of savings for the country in Naira and Kobo?
Yes, I can boldly say that.
In your own estimation, how much would you say that your commission has been able to save, save the country since it was created, or since it came into existence in 2008? Yeah.
Let me just take the issue of operating surplus alone, which is the one that we can easily see. Over the last 5 years or thereabout, this commission has induced well over 350 billion into the federal government's consolidated revenue fund. As against that, the total budgetary allocation to the commission over that same period, is just about 3.5 billion, which is less than 1% or thereabout. So to that extent, what the commission is costing the federal government for its existence is really marginal and negligible, if I can use that word.
Compared to what it's saving it, right?
Yes.
Okay, then what would you say? Excuse me. Just a moment, sir. What would you then say about the budgeting process? A lot of people have said we should have the 3-year budget. I mean, you're talking about MTEF, which is the medium-term framework. But yes, some people are saying that we cannot have a yearly budget because it doesn't really help our development, and we should have perhaps 3 yearly budgets. Would you agree to that?
No. I was just about coming to that. You know, the MTEP itself is a 3-year plan which shows what the intentions of governments are in terms of policy framework over a period of 3 years. The first year of the MTEP should ideally go directly into the budget for that particular year. And the MTEP is produced on a yearly basis so that if anything changes within the system, within that particular year, you have the opportunity of making adjustments in the following year. And so that there can be policy consistency.
All right, for those who may say, look, with due respect to the commission, they think it should be scrapped, what would you say to them?
I think they have been unfair, and because they don't understand exactly what the commission is doing in terms of generating revenue through operating surplus and bringing so much improvement into the budgeting process.
How much revenue?
One of the problems we have in this country is that there are so much information being churned out from the commission and the Ministry of Finance, which most people don't even look at. Like this commission, over the years, has been reviewing the budget implementation report as issued by the budget office. And we also go out to actually physically verify some of the projects reported by the budget office. And our reports are sent to the Ministry of Finance and the National Assembly.
How much revenue have you been able to generate?
Well over 350 billion.
Sorry, say again, I didn't get that.
Well over 350 billion over the last 5 years.
And you remitted to?
Consolidated Revenue Fund.
Okay, Mr. Moshood Tijani, Head Monitoring and Evaluation of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.